How's everyone doing? Thank you for allowing us to come up and speak. And my name is Gregg Katano. I'm one of the co-founders of one of the top Google cardboard manufacturers. It's one of my partners.
I am Paul Hynek. We are with Unofficial Cardboard, one of the inexpensive virtual reality headset companies. We like to refer to ourselves as cardboard peddlers, but we have delusions of grandeur as to where we can take this modest beginning of cardboard and lenses.
So we are both rejects from the visual effects business. We were both in the business for 20 plus years, and Paul's with a company called Giant Studios, and they were responsible for the motion capture for a lot of the big movies like Planet of the Apes and Lord of the Rings, Gollum, Lord of the Rings, what else? Avatar. And I was doing visual effects for a show called Medium with Patricia Arquette and got into 3D. And now we found ourselves in probably one of the biggest movements in media, which is virtual reality. And I'm sure probably most, if not all of you in this room, have heard of virtual reality with Facebook buying this company called Oculus Rift for $2 billion. And since then, it just exploded. This virtual reality has been around since the 90s, but with that purchase, it just really thrusted it into the public's eye. So wanted to just reflect on how we both got here and where we're thinking about taking it to the future.
Yeah, definitely happy to be out of visual effects and movies and into
Here,
the
here.
more greener grass of virtual reality. How many of you guys have seen virtual reality? Probably all of you? Okay, cool. So there are two big problems or two big challenges that we see for mass adoption of virtual reality. One is how to make money, how to monetize it. That's what people in virtual reality talk about. We think we have an idea for that we want to kind of workshop with you guys here today. And then there's another more pernicious problem that we just started working on too. Okay, so the first one is how do you monetize virtual reality? Well, we think we have an idea by making it free for users and making it profitable for content partners. So we have these promotional items, and our business model to date has been we go to large companies, they put their logos and branding on there, they give them out to their customers, donors, subscribers, users, whatever, for free, everyone's happy. But we think we can get these out to the public for free. So you could go onto our website and order one either for $1 or so for shipping or for no money at all. And we do this because we'll have other offers on there not presented in a really blatant way, but off to the side for other things that you might like. A headband, an extra viewer, I don't know, rhinestones, some other fun stuff to go along with this. And we think having those other offers on there will be enough to offset the cost for the actual production and shipping of the units. We did a test of this where we put it up on our site without any fanfare, any advertising at all, and in 4 hours we had 1,500 orders. So we feel we have some small market validation for the idea that if we make virtual reality for free, we'll get a lot of people to buy our units and get them out there, and then have more people that can watch, because there's such a paltry saturation in the market for viewers. There's already more high quality VR content that's mobile compatible and free than you can eat already. And there's just more every day, so we're attacking the distribution.
Right. And one thing that I want to talk about, just to back up a little, is that both Paul and I have been company owners. We've been heads of business development for companies. And I'll tell you, both of us will be the first to tell you when something's not working. I was one of the earliest adopters for 3D, so I produced the X Games 3D movie, first job for Red Bull, Foo Fighters, like big productions. But even I was quickly like, it's not gonna be scalable or sustainable. People aren't gonna buy the 3D televisions. There wasn't enough content out there to use and view. The selection of content was just misdirected. And I said, wow, why are you doing that band? Nobody's heard of that band, and you're going to do it in 3D. So I'm sure a lot of us in this room had seen that, and I started looking for the next thing. So my friends started pushing me towards virtual reality. I said, okay, I'll start looking at it, check out some demos, go down the rabbit hole. And what I discovered is that it was magical. For now, for the first thing that I realized is that For 100 years, we've been watching a screen. We've been watching media on a screen, television screen, movie screen. And for the first time, instead of being an observer, we're a participant. And for those in this room who haven't experienced it, I invite you to hang out with Paul and I, and we'll show it to you on our phone. And first time I saw it, I said, wow, I'm actually in the content. And I quickly started thinking about all the different applications. I started thinking medical, education, which are the two highest on my list, because I feel like it's going to help so many people. And then from there, architecture, real estate, travel, and I haven't seen anything in media that has transcended all industries and all ages. My mom's 81, and her reaction was just priceless. She's looking around, and she put it down. She says, "You mean I can travel again?" And it brought a tear to my eye, because I thought, wow, I've never heard her speak like that. I mean, she's able-bodied, and yet she knew that she hasn't really had that opportunity. And then my friend's child, who's 7, and a very stiff CEO in a corporation, all had the same reaction. They just had this biggest smile on their face. They're looking around in wonderment, and I said, I have to get in. I have to get into this. But a lot of these devices are so expensive. You know, Oculus and Vive, they're $2,000 because you need an expensive computer to support it. And then right away, we were going, a piece of cardboard, lenses, and some Velcro, and you stick your phone. The equivalent of the 3D television that none of us were buying is now in our hands. And it's so powerful. That's really the technology that's pushing this ahead. So all of you in this room are going to be generating your own content, uploading it to a platform like YouTube, and all your friends are going to be able to experience things that you're going to be creating, because they all have the distribution or the equivalent of the iPod in their hands.
So I just took a picture of you all in 360, so I can show that to you
right?
afterwards. And I just took a picture of everybody here so you can see that. It's called Cardboard Camera. It's a free app on Android. And people have seen exotic moonscapes and foreign vistas in virtual reality. What I find really impactful, especially for someone who hasn't seen virtual reality, is show them themselves in their own setting. Right. It's a really, really impactful experience that, as Gregg says, imprints upon people. It's a very different, deeper emotional resonance than is created by traditional framed entertainment. So our goal is 10 million viewers in a year. Just made that up right now. 10 million units. Why not? Go big or go home, right? Because we think we can do that, because we have the manufacturing cost down lower than anybody else can do it. Well, as low as can be done. And we can do it. When we did that test with 1,500 orders, we had enough upsells, and we had really crappy stuff on the site to pay for everything. So we can make it free for viewers, and the content and the content creation tools are free. There's plenty of them, more and more every day. And so that's part of it. The other part is to make it profitable for the content partners. So we can partner with Kellogg's, Red Cross, all these partners, and have them get the word out to their users, subscribers, et cetera, and then they can make money on the distribution. And we think that, in our own little modest way, will help propel VR forward. Then our even more grandiose delusions of grandeur are to become the network TV of VR, because we'll have this expanding base of users with whom we communicate on a regular basis. The viewers are the razors, the ongoing content communication are the blades. So we want to create a network TV type atmosphere in virtual reality, and then when we have 10 million, 20 million users, then we can have exclusive launches of content and all kinds of fun things. So that's where we want to go, and we hope, and we're really happy with this model we've come up with in the last week. So it's still kind of unformed, but we did the test with users online, and Gregg tested it out with a couple partners last week, and it seems to have gotten a lot of traction so far. So we're just tingly with excitement and inchoate yet strategy.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully we introduce virtual reality to some of you that have never experienced it. We'd love to share it with you after we get off the stage. And if you have any questions, ask away.
Yeah, so what's setting us apart from other cardboard manufacturers? Not a lot. I mean, we've got a patent filed on the adjustable lenses, but that's really for marketing pizzazz. We don't expect to ever get that patent. The one thing that is starting to set us apart, and this is the other problem that I alluded to earlier, is we think the monetization is a business challenge. There's a bigger bottleneck for mass adoption of inexpensive viewers, and that's lenses. There aren't that many factories that make these little doohickeys, and there's a lot more secret sauce in them than you might think. These are little lenses that are used typically for plastic flashlights in drugstores. And the market for that is still bigger than the market for virtual reality headsets, which is kind of funny. But they're very difficult to make, and we've talked to the one main factory in Taiwan that Google has certified. They can't do more than a certain number per month, which is very paltry compared to what we'd like to do. So we're now talking to optical engineers on our own to try to make more lenses. So if we do that, then we'll have a real leg up, plus the fact that we're going to drive the price down to zero. So if our competitors want to do something, they could like tape a dollar bill to their units, I guess.
So it's a really good question. I think it's been raised the entire time that Paul and I have been with the business, is that, well, Greg, I could just order this knockoff Google Cardboard from China or from India, and I can get it for $2 to $3. And what we found, and what, at least in the short term, our viewers are the most robust out there. I mean, my philosophy was, I don't want it to be the equivalent of the red and blue anaglyph glasses for 3D, where you just think of it as a throwaway device. I'm hoping that this device is robust enough, and with the adjustable lenses, actually they do work because we all have different distances between our eyes. It's called IPD, or interpupillary distance. So it does make it more comfortable for longer periods of viewing. So now between those two, okay, maybe we are more saturated in the business because it's a more comfortable viewing experience, or it's going to last. We haven't seen one of these break down in like a year. And that then fits into this new model that we're talking about, is that it becomes a network, because now all of a sudden we're in this room creating content, or these big corporations that are creating content, they don't have to worry about knowing that their content isn't reaching their customers, and you have this ongoing relationship, sending them more content, knowing the analytics that's happening behind that.
Well, he won a holography on us, Greg. Yeah, we're working on new versions all the time. This is kind of a okay-looking thing, but it's kind of clunky, and I wouldn't want to hold on my head for more than a half hour or so. So we have a new version that is coming out that requires much less assembly, which is one of the real problems for both in terms of cost for manufacturing and delivery time. So we have a version coming out that requires minimal assembly and actually contours. It's a little bit flexible, so it can contour around your face, and also allows a little bit more adjustment of the lenses, which is really cool. But we view ourselves as a democratizing agent for the distribution of VR. So whether we have the unit or we license it from somebody else, we just want to spread mass adoption through inexpensive viewers, because basically, you don't even need cardboard. All you really need are two lenses a couple inches from the phone. So there's a lot of ways to get to the realm of virtual reality, and we just want to be in the forefront of that with a business model that we hope gets a lot of attention and can incent everybody that's involved. We'll take that. We'll take that. Yeah, not Elon Musk in 2008. Elon in December 2008. Elon Musk right now.
I've been around VR for a long time, and it seems to be finding its place now. There is a distinct difference between the VR that you get from a cardboard box and the VR that you connect to a PC. And the scale of cost is dramatically different, as you know. As being a tech consultant for a long time, my money bet is more on AR. Do you have any? I mean, are you focusing more on trying to capture storytelling as opposed to AR, which is combining VR in 3D in the real world?
Really great question. Thank you. So I love AR. I think AR is. Okay, AR stands for augmented reality, and VR is virtual reality. Virtual reality is more this 360-degree sphere of content that we can then participate in.
A really good definition I heard of the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality is that augmented reality is the digital world coming into the analog world, and virtual reality is us analog folks going into the digital world. So that's a useful distinction for me.
And with augmented reality, imagine if you're looking in your space right here in this room. A company, a developer of content can then create useful objects that may give you more information about what you're seeing in this room. Maybe that camera specs will pop up as I'm looking at it, or you're going to have cute little characters running around the floor and tracking on the stage and the floor. It's limitless to the amount of content that you can embed into our real world on top of the real world. So to answer your question, I see both coexisting, co-mixing, which is mixed reality, converging, and I think that there's going to be useful applications for both. And what I think is exciting about this time is that virtual reality is acting as this foundation, this, the fact that you've been in it for a long time. We all, just like 3D, I was on the bleeding edge, and there was a lot of time of waiting until Avatar came out to be that tipping point. And once we experienced that as early pioneers, we never thought that day would come. So to know that there's some momentum with virtual reality, and just by poking a hole through the cardboard box, now we're using the camera from our phone to integrate augmented reality. So now you're looking around 360 with the virtual reality gyro accelerometer that's in our phone, but then with the hole in cardboard, just cutting a hole through the corrugate, now you're using the camera to scan the room, and basically you can add those elements in the room. And I went to the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco a couple weeks ago, and the one thing that I was excited to check out was Google Tango. And if you don't know what Google Tango is, it's basically going to revolutionize the technology in our cell phones. It's basically going to be, through real time, it's going to scan our environment. So we're going to be walking down a hallway. It's going to scan the entire map. Thank you. It's going to map out the entire environment. And what that'll do is that it'll know exactly how to track things in the room. It'll know exactly where I am positionally in that room. And what that does, that basically will close that gap between the higher end HMDs, or head-mounted displays of virtual reality, Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive, and that's really the main advantage that those $2,000 systems have. I mean, this is a $20 retail box. We're already holding the phones in our hand. So imagine if we have positional tracking, we can move in Z space, and because just so you know, as of right now, with the virtual reality with your cell phone, you can only stand in a positional place. You can look around 360, but there's no moving around, and the environment changes with you. So that's a limitation. But it's, again, $20 retail. So now you incorporate this positional tracking through Google Tango or other companies that are going to incorporate that into the cell phones. Now we're all going to be able to experience virtual reality, augmented reality on our cell phones. We're always going to be upgrading our cell phones, so now the quality is going to always get better. And that's the most exciting thing for me, because that will empower all of you in this room to be able to experience at a very low cost. You're going to be able to create your own content, create work for yourself. And I've been in LA all my life, and to see LA and to see our entertainment business just take such a hit over the last 5 years was just heartbreaking. And seeing all my friends lose their houses and having to travel away from their families for months at a time because the work wasn't here. Now, the thing that drives me is that this is going to create work for everyone. This is going to have somebody like yourself see this come to fruition when you're one of the earlier pioneers, I mean, that is magical. And that's what drives me to be on panels. I speak at different panels, or on, I was at South by Southwest. I'm going to speak at NAB because I'm evangelizing this because I know how exciting it's going to be, and the fact that it's going to hopefully enrich our lives. So something that I wanted to share.
So, two concerns. One, with the concept, you said you want to make sure that it's different from 3D TVs, which it was somewhat alluded to. It's the VR glasses, they're so close to your eyes that it actually causes a lot of strain. Even if you get over the fact that the phone still weighs something on your nose, or you have to somehow mount it on your head, that eventually you can't do it more than 30 minutes based on your... And then the second problem I find is, it seems like only people like Google and Windows are opening this platform to people, but we have like 75% of the people in America use iPhones. So how do you bridge that gap? How do you infiltrate the market that you don't currently have a platform on?
Okay, so let's unpack those two questions. So the first is like ergonomic discomfort, right? Both the eyes and holding this kind of clunky piece of cardboard. We have a very fashionable head strap that can hold it to your head for as long as you can withstand it. But it doesn't have to be an experience of longer than 5-10 minutes to create an empathetic or emotional resonance for you. In terms of watching it for a long time, I don't know. I think everyone has a different feel. Some people just get nauseous from 3D and virtual reality in general. It's a fairly common phenomenon. And other people are comfortable, but I see emotional responses immediately, especially from people who haven't seen it before. So I'm not so concerned about the length of time, and I think the ergonomics will get better. Hopefully our lenses will be better, the resolution will be better, we won't have the uncanny valley problems, and I think people can watch it for longer if they want to. As for the platform of Google and Apple, there are tons of applications on iPhone and Android. So we have friends, a company called Splash, that introduced at South by Southwest and won the VR Startup Contest, Accelerator Contest, for an app that does mobile movies, mobile 3D 360 movies on your mobile device. So now Google is doing, like what I used today, which I'm happy to show you, is cardboard camera, is not on iPhone yet, but it will come out on iPhone. And as you know, Apple is doing a lot of VR stuff too. So I think both Google and Apple will have thriving ecosystems with all kinds of third-party free apps. And what we're really happy to see, being a low-end, democratized distribution partner, is to see the parallel happening in content creation. And so we think it's pretty robust development on both platforms.
Just a couple of things to mention about iOS or for the iPhone is that before I approached the Google Cardboard company, the cardboard was only made for the Android. It had a little magnet on the side of the box. I don't know if you remember. And by shifting that magnet, it would trigger the magnetometer in an Android phone, which would trigger to advanced menus and things like that. When Google 2.0 came out, they came up with this capacitive touch button on the top. And what that does, it transfers my energy from my finger directly to this little touchpad. And with this touchpad, now it works for all touchscreen phones. So that closed the gap. That was the other 50% of the population I was waiting for. And I have an iPhone, so I was looking around, hey, what about me? How come it's only Android apps that I can't use? So once that happened, then that was everybody. All touchscreen phones, iPhone, Android, and that's when I said, okay, now I want to get in. And it only took 2 moves to put this together rather than 30 minutes like it took for 1.0. And I knew, no, that's a barrier to entry right there.
If we look farther in the future, virtual reality, augmented reality, these things will blend together to have some kind of really entertaining, emotional, educational glance around you. They may be little thin films that you put on your glasses, right? We won't always have clunky devices. And we just want to be around to keep providing very inexpensive solutions, hopefully with innovative business models on both platforms.
All right. Thank you so much. That was fun.